Despite being a Pokemon fan since the days of Kanto, I have never Nuzlocked a Pokemon game in my life. I decided to fix that by challenging myself to beat a Nuzlocke of Omega Ruby. I'm going to assume most people clicking on this video know what a Nuzlocke is, but for a brief rundown, I can only catch the first Pokemon I encounter in each new area, and if a Pokemon faints, it's considered gone forever and must be permanently boxed or released. I also added a couple of extra rules for this run, allowing myself to get a new encounter if the Pokemon I find is the same species as a previous capture, and not allowing myself to use any items in battle. I'm pretty familiar with the Hoenn region where these games take place, so I had a few strategies going in, but there's the planning, and there's the execution, so sit back, relax, and enjoy. And if you want to see more videos like this, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Now let's get on with the run. After travelling across the country in the back of a moving van, Mother of the Year barely lets us finish setting the time before kicking us out of the house. We go meet our neighbour, May, with whom the romantic tension is palpable. She turns out to be the daughter of Professor Birch, who we encounter running for his life from a low-level Poochyena. Not a good look for someone who's supposed to be a world-renowned field researcher. This is where we have to make our first big decision. Which starter Pokemon are we picking? Having weighed out my choices, I decided that Mudkip here is our best option, so we pick it up and easily take out the Poochyena. As a thank you for saving him, Kipper the Mudkip officially joins the ranks as our first team member, and after battling May and her Trico on Route 103, we are given access to Pokeballs and can officially start getting our first encounters. The first step on our journey is Rustboro City. On the way we pick up Wriggles the Wurmple and Ziggypop the Zigzagoon.
Amen!
Moving on to Route 102, we picked up John Locke the Seedot before encountering our dad and watching Father of the Year completely ignore us in favour of another child, who effortlessly gets the rarest and best encounter on the route. We continue towards Rustboro, picking up Avis the Wingull, evolving Wriggles into Cascoon, and picking up Sid the Slackoth in the forest. We finally made it to Rustboro as our first gym battle against Roxanne awaited. Thanks to Kipper, Roxanne was a fairly easy battle, easily sweeping through her team with next to no effort. Shortly after, Kipper evolved into Marshtomp and we captured Becky the Tailo. Becky has the ability Guts, and she'll be super strong once we can level her up and teach her Facade. That is assuming she doesn't get KO'd before then. No! Oh, Becky! We just caught you! That one hurt! I didn't expect it to be able to one-shot me! Becky, no! That one hurt. As a consolation prize, we picked up Quiet Riot the Wizmer in Rustboro Tunnel, and after sailing to Dewford, picked up Dory the Magikarp, Slapsack the Makuhita, and evolved John Locke into Nuzleaf. We were just about ready to take on Brawly, the second gym leader. I was hoping to have Becky for this one, but in her absence, Wriggles stepped up to the mark. Brawly led with his Machop, and with a couple of hits from Gust, Wriggles managed to take it down. As Makuhita came in, Wriggles had taken a bit of damage, but I decided to stay in, risking her to a decisive hit. Wriggles falls off in stats going forward, so I don't mind if I need to sacrifice her here. Makuhita knocks off my held Oranberry as I go for a Gust. I can't two-shot here, so I decide to stay in and get a little extra damage off, knowing that the next hit will be the end for Wriggles. But Makuhita used Sand Attack, allowing Wriggles and Dustox to clutch victory from the jaws of death and live to fight another day. With that, badge number 2 was down. We decided to take a victory lap by fishing for Jelly the Tentacle, and after meeting up with Stephen Sloan, we sailed back to Hoenn's mainland in Slateport City. Little did I know though, our victory lap would be very short-lived. Here's a rookie mistake. A lot of professional Nuzlockers encourage people to hack in rare candies for their runs. This cuts out on needless grinding. I, however, decided in my infinite wisdom to take on the challenge without these rare candies, and decided to train on some of the nearby trainers. But as it turned out, my hubris would cause a certain little raccoon to lose his lust for life. You know what, Ziggy? Go for it, buddy. Oh, this is gonna hurt. No, Ziggy! No! Why? Why did I play with fire? I knew that would happen. Oh, Ziggy, no! Rest in peace, Ziggy Pop. You were a real wild child. We were down, but not out, as we had a bigger challenge coming up. At the Oceanic Museum, we encountered Maxie, a man who hates water so much that he hasn't drank a drop of it in years. At least, that's my leading theory on how this man looks as pale and wrinkly as he is, despite living in a tropical climate. This wasn't what I was worried about though, as we were coming up on the rival battle on Route 110. This battle is a run killer for a lot of rookie Nuzlockers, so I took the time to do some extra training and plan out a strategy. As we entered Route 110, we picked up Sparkle the Electrike, and after making some changes to my team, it was time to start training. It looks like the Nuzlocke gods were testing me though, as during my training, Aroma Lady Daisy and her Roselia managed to knock out 4 of my Pokemon, leaving only Sparkle and Kipper, so any strategy I had before was now just a distant memory. I opened up the PC boxes and cobbled together a team of whatever I could. My boxes were now completely empty, so in an act of desperation, I looked up the encounter tables, went back to Petalburg City, and using my old rod, fished up a Goldeen, which I nicknamed Dory 2 in loving memory of the fish we lost. I'd made peace that I'd have to sacrifice something in May's battle, so I took a look at her team, made a plan, and we went for it. It looked like the Nuzlocke gods were still testing me, as she sent out Slugma first. According to the notes I was using, this was meant to be Wailmer, so I'd opened up with Sparkle. I had to make a hard switch into Kipper, who ate a not very effective Incinerate, causing his held Oran Berry to be used up. One mud shot later, and Slugma was down, causing May to switch into her Grovyle. Because I expected her to lead with Wailmer, and I wasn't planning on going to Kipper so soon, this Grovyle was out sooner than I wanted it to be, so I had to come up with some backup strats. I made the tough decision to hard pivot into Quiet Riot so that I could hit it with a Screech. Avis in the back knows Wing Attack, but it isn't particularly good at using physical attacks, so I wanted to soften Grovyle up as much as I could for it. With Quiet Riot's job done, she gracefully departed to meet Ziggy again, allowing us to get a safe switch into Avis. Unfortunately, it looks like 2 Screeches wasn't enough, as Avis barely failed to knock out Grovyle. Another level or 2 would have definitely secured this kill, so now we had to make backup strats for our backup strats. Grovyle wins the speed tie, and May definitely doesn't heal here. Unfortunately, Jelly doesn't have the Liquid Ooze ability, but she was my best pivot option regardless. I hoped I could get out a sneaky poison move here, but unfortunately, Grovyle was just too fast, taking her out. This did, however, get me a free switch into Sparkle, who thanks to a couple of lucky quick attacks, was able to finally finish off Grovyle. May's Wailmer was up last, and Sparkle was one hit away from fainting, but a solid spark would hopefully be enough to knock Wailmer out and wrap the battle up. Okay, very salty about that. Electric types are incredibly useful in almost any scenario. Wailmer is locked into rollout, so I switch into Kipper and quickly finish the job, but our team is in an absolute state at this point. We'd finally made it to Moorville City, but we were in damage recovery mode. Outside of town, we picked up Roxanne the Roselia, and after taking part in a Pokemon contest, met Glitter the cosplay Pikachu. Our next hurdle was Wattson's gym. This gym is normally a tricky one to overcome if you pick Trico or Torchic as your starter, and this was mainly the reason I'd gone for Mudkip, besides its ungodly bulk when it's fully evolved. We cleared Wattson without any issues, and started the long journey between Moorville City and Falaba Town. On the way to our destination, Avis finally evolved into Pelipper. It's funny, at the start of this run I had no intention of really using her, hoping to use Swellow instead, but going forward, Avis here is really going to solidify herself as one of the most valuable members of our team. After making it to Falaba Town, we learned that a local astronomer called Professor Cosmo has been taken to Meteor Falls by Team Magma, so together with May, we give chase. On Route 114, we meet Floof, the Swablu. Altaria is ridiculously good in this game, and the species levels up incredibly quickly at higher levels, so there was no question that I was absolutely adding it to my team. At Meteor Falls, May and I worked together to take down Team Magma when we were greeted by Archie, the leader of Team Aqua. He spouted some nonsense about returning the world to its pristine state, and made a very thinly veiled threat to us. Just a reminder that we're playing as a literal child. But the enemy of my enemy is my friend, and Aquaman over here wanted Team Magma dealt with too, so I guess we have an uneasy alliance. We gave chase to Team Magma, who had climbed to the top of Mount Chimney in order to get to Erupt. Not entirely sure what their escape plan was here, but Avis showed her worth by completely shredding through Maxie's team. I'm sure escaping a small child is easier than escaping an erupting volcano, so we'll call this one a mercy. Next up was the back-to-back gym run of Flannery and Norman. Starting with Flannery, Avis once again showed her strength, as she managed to easily get through Flannery's team without much of an issue at all. Norman was next. My plan here was to cheese both of his slackings by using Dig to exploit the invulnerability and Truant. Unfortunately, I hadn't done any speed checks for this, and just assumed Kipper would outspeed here. A rookie mistake on my part, as on turn 1, Norman's slacking hits a yawn on me, and with Kipper underground, I won't be able to switch out to prevent him falling asleep. In dire need of a backup plan, on Slacking's next Truant turn, I safely switch into Roxanne. She takes a yawn, but is able to safely set up Leech Seed and Toxic Spikes before falling asleep. Kipper comes back in, and with the additional health from Leech Seed, is able to finish off Slacking. He does however succumb to another yawn as Norman sends out Vigoroth. After taking a nasty retaliate, I decide not to risk Kipper and send in our own Vigoroth, Sid, who quickly dispels of Norman's Vigoroth with a chip away, prompting Norman to send out his second Slacking. I know this thing is going to use a retaliate, and I don't have anything I'd be willing to try and tank it with, so I make the difficult decision to let Sid fall. Sid's noble sacrifice allows us to cleanly switch back to Roxanne. I set up Leech Seed to stack with the poison damage and then used Mega Drain, and with that, I was able to finish off Slacking, hand my in-game dad the divorce papers our mum wants him to sign, and get our 5th gym badge. Training a little bit outside of Moorville City, Kipper finally evolves into Swampert. As we continue on, we run into Steven and Latias and make a detour to Southern Island in order to help the Latios, which is being guarded by Team Magma. A quick battle later, and Boeing the Latios joins our team. I know a lot of Nuzlockers ban legendary encounters, but screw you guys, this is my run. Steven gives us a keystone, and we finally gain the ability to Mega Evolve our Pokemon. I know some Nuzlockers ban Mega Evolution, but well, you get the idea. Unfortunately, even with our newfound power, we aren't infallible. A random double battle to do some training saw Glitter the Pikachu take a large amount of damage and fall. With the flying type gym coming up, we had once again lost our ace in the hole for a major battle. Pikachu is pretty frail, so I should have seen this one coming. But then, something snapped inside of me. I'd been playing the game recklessly. While I had started looking up encounters and trainers following the massacre on Route 110, I realised that wasn't enough. I had to be cold, calculating, strategic, and to be ready for any contingency. Glitter was the straw that broke the camel's back, but I had to do it for Becky, Ziggy, Wriggles, and everyone else who had fallen before. No more. Upon arriving at Fortree City, we learned that Boeing had the hidden power type for electric. With this in mind, I was able to use Boeing's incredible special attack stat to easily clear out Winona's gym, netting us our 6th gym badge. We were off to Lily Cove City, and on the way there, Floof evolved into Altaria, and we finally evolved Roxanne into Roserade. 2 more powerhouses to add to the team. At the peak of Mount Pyre, Maxie, despite his extreme dehydration, proves himself smarter than his Pokemon Ruby counterpart by correctly identifying the orb he needs to take control of the Red Box Legendary to be the Red Orb. Congratulations, Maxie, you passed preschool. We tackled the Magma hideout in Lily Cove City. I made a point to pick up the Master Ball, and I have plans for this shortly, but I'll discuss those when the time comes. For now, we battled Courtney for what feels like the 100th time, and then it was smooth sailing to Moss Deep City. Tate and Liza were the leaders of Gym number 7, but I was locked in at this point, and they didn't pose any sort of threat to me. A combination of Kipper, Boeing, and Roxanne netted me an easy win. However, while there was no danger to me, there was a grave danger to the Hoenn region. as Maxie had located Groudon and had plunged the region into an endless drought. In Sootopolis City, since we were the one with the blue orb, we were deemed to be the most capable person to calm Groudon down. I'm not sure why between the strongest gym leader and the champion of the Hoenn region, neither of them thought it best to take the blue orb from me to tackle it themselves. But it didn't matter as I entered the Cave of Origin and put up a repel. I've already said I'm allowing myself to use legendaries, so you should know exactly where this is going. I ventured to the deepest part of the cave, encountering Groudon's primal reversion. As I threw the Master Ball, I felt the spirits of Ziggy Pop and Quiet Riot at my side. And to my team, we welcomed Wayward Son.
Carry on my wayward son!
We were finally ready to take on Wallace and get our 8th and final gym badge. But Wayward Son wouldn't be making his debut quite yet. Instead, Roxanne took her time to shine. With a held Yashi Berry in case she gets hit by an ice move, she made short work of Wallace's water types, and with some final preps to our team, we made our way to Evergrande City. With how stacked our team was, we didn't have much of a problem getting through Victory Road. However, waiting for us at the end was Wally, our father's favourite child. This sneaky beaky boy had gone ahead and gotten the rest of the gym badges, as well as his own keystone, all while we were risking our lives saving the world. He needed to be put in his place, so, filled with the rage that our father was hanging his macaroni art on the fridge instead of ours, we made short work of his Pokémon, and after leaving him to think about what he's done, we approached the Pokémon League and got ready to take on the Elite Four. First up was Sydney, the Dark-type user. I had picked up a Megastone for Floof earlier, and after Mega Evolving, I set up a Cotton Guard, and Sydney's attacks barely scratched me. I let off a barrage of dazzling gleams and was cleanly able to 1 or 2 shot most of his team. I was honestly expecting this to be a harder battle, but Floof really surprised me here. We were ready to move on to the next Elite Four member. We entered Phoebe's chambers next. I didn't really have a good offensive type matchup for Phoebe's ghost type Pokemon, so I used a combination of Kipper and Wayward Son. With their high bulk and attack stats, I was able to confidently make my way through Phoebe's team despite not hitting for super effective damage. It was over quickly as I proceeded on to the 3rd Elite Four member. Glacier is a nice type user. I don't know what you're really expecting here. I used Wayward Son, pressed Lava Plume a lot. Game Freak, if you're listening, please give Ice types some meaningful buffs that actually benefit Ice type Pokemon. I'll have my comment section suggest a few good ones. Guys, put your Ice type buff ideas down in the comments. On to the next battle. We walked up the hallway to the final member of the Elite Four as we stepped into the chamber of Drake, the Dragon Master. A notoriously difficult battle if you haven't prepared, but fortunately I thought of this exact scenario. Having taught Kipper Blizzard in preparation and getting the move's PP as high as I could, I Mega Evolved and I let loose. I was rolling the dice on this, but I had backup strats if I needed them. Fortunately, Kipper was able to connect with every single move, and with the dragon slain, Drake opened the doors for us to go to our final battle. We have finally made it to Steven, the Steel-type expert and champion of the Hoenn region. We had made it through the rest of the Elite Four deathless, and I wasn't about to give that up. So I came out swinging with Wayward Son. Steel-types are notorious for having this ability called Sturdy, an ability that went from being next to useless when it was first introduced to basically being one of the best abilities in the game a generation later. We weren't going to let that slow us down though. Using a combination of Lava Plume, Earthquake, and Precipice Blades, we powered through Steven's team, leading him to send out his ace, Mega Metagross. This wasn't going to be enough though, as Wayward Son put all of his power into one final Precipice Blades, instantly defeating the Titan, winning us the battle and the run. We entered the Hall of Fame, where we honoured Wayward Son, Boeing, Roxanne, Floof, Kipper, Avis, and all the fallen comrades we'd made along the way. This was a hard-earned victory, and I was so happy to have successfully completed my first Nuzlocke. As with any hard-earned victory, it was time to follow it up with a hard-earned rest. It was time to go home. As we walked back out of the Champions Chamber, the silence was deafening. A silence that was broken by May, who looked at us with a certain fondness in her eyes, as she asked if we could end our journeys the way they started, together. I agreed, and May and I headed back to Little Root Town together. Night fell as we passed through Route 103, the site of our first battle. We gazed at the pond we battled by before, as May took a deep breath to tell us something she'd been waiting to say for a long time.
Pixel, could you do something for me? Come on! Let's battle one more time!
Thank you everybody for watching. This video took way longer to edit than I was expecting, and I really hope the effort shows. Like last time, I want to thank Bonabella for the thumbnail art, and I also want to give special thanks to Master Misty, who lent me her talents for the voice of May. Their links can be found in the description. If you enjoyed, please like, comment, and subscribe. And if you're hungry for more, why not check out another video?